Every NFL fan has lived through this moment. Your team announces a blockbuster trade, and your gut either drops or soars. Sometimes it works. The Rams went all in for Matthew Stafford, and it delivered a Super Bowl. The Buccaneers brought in Tom Brady, and it rewrote their franchise history. But not every gamble pays off. In fact, most don't. Today, we're looking at 15 of the worst trades in recent NFL history. These are the deals that were supposed to save a franchise, but instead left fans groaning, GMs unemployed, and players stuck in the wrong uniforms. Some of these are hilarious in hindsight, some are tragic, and some are just plain painful. Let's start with one of the most infamous quarterback moves of the last decade, Mitchell Trubisky, Chicago's painful mistake, 230-5, 2017. The Chicago Bears were convinced they had their guy. Afraid another team would jump them, they traded 3 picks to move up 1 spot and draft Mitchell Trubisky at number 2 overall. Now, at the time, Trubisky was seen as talented. He was athletic, had the tools, and the Bears thought they'd finally found their long-lost franchise quarterback. But here's the gut punch. Patrick Mahomes was still on the board. So was Deshaun Watson, who at that point had just won a national championship at Clemson. Trubisky had moments, a Pro Bowl nod, a playoff trip, but the turnovers piled up, the mechanics never clicked, and within 4 years, he was gone. Meanwhile, Mahomes was shattering records, winning MVPs, and becoming one of the most dominant players in NFL history. To this day, Bears fans can't escape the thought, Mahomes in Chicago, paired with that 2018 defense, that could have been legendary. Instead, it was one of the biggest what-ifs in football. Cleveland fans thought they hit the jackpot in 2012. Trent Richardson was a monster at Alabama, racking up over 1,700 yards and 21 touchdowns his final year. The Browns traded up to get him, calling him a can't-miss running back. Year 1 was fine, almost 1,000 yards, 11 rushing touchdowns, but he lacked burst, couldn't stay consistent, and defenses figured him out quickly. Then came Indianapolis. Andrew Luck was the golden boy of the league, and the Colts wanted to build a contender fast. So they gave up a first-round pick for Richardson in 2013. What happened? Richardson stumbled his way through one of the worst tenures a first-round running back has ever had. He averaged less than 3.5 yards per carry, lost his starting job, and by 2015, he was cut. Think about that. 2 franchises, 2 massive investments, 0 return. Fans in Cleveland and Indy still shake their heads at the mention of his name. The Raiders, man. This franchise has a way of letting superstar receivers slip through their fingers. Let's rewind to 2007. The Raiders traded Randy Moss to the Patriots for a 3rd-round pick. A third for Randy Moss. What happened next? Moss had 23 touchdowns in his very first season in New England. He and Tom Brady nearly went undefeated, breaking offensive records left and right. Meanwhile, the Raiders, stuck in the basement, were left with nothing. Fast forward to 2024. History repeated itself. The Raiders had Davante Adams, one of the best wideouts in football, and they traded him to the Jets for a conditional 3rd-round pick. This wasn't because Adams was washed. He was still elite, but lousy coaching, bad quarterback situations, and poor relationships with leadership poisoned the well. Fans couldn't believe it. Twice in less than 2 decades, the Raiders handed away Hall of Fame talent for pocket change. Twice, they watched those players shine elsewhere. It's the kind of thing that explains why Vegas still struggles to climb out of mediocrity. Tennessee was right there. 3 straight playoff appearances, the number 1 seed in 2021, Derrick Henry in his prime. They were contenders. And then they traded away A.J. Brown. Why? They didn't want to pay him. So on draft night 2021, they sent him to the Eagles. Philly didn't blink. They handed him a massive extension, and A.J. Brown turned into the heart of their offense. He put up career numbers, opened the field for Jalen Hurts, and led the Eagles to a Super Bowl appearance in 2022. The Titans? They got Treylon Burks with the pick. And while Burks has potential, he's nowhere near A.J. Brown's level. This one stings because it wasn't just a bad trade. It was a trade that slammed shut. Chip Kelly came into Philly like a storm, determined to reshape the team his way. And in 2015, he made one of the most head-scratching moves in Eagles history, trading LaShawn McCoy to the Bills for linebacker Kiko Alonso. McCoy was the franchise's all-time leading rusher. He was elusive, productive, and beloved by fans. In Buffalo, he gave them 3 more solid seasons. Alonso, he barely contributed in Philly, missed time with injuries, and was gone within a year. Fans were furious. They'd lost a star, got nothing back, and the locker room turned sour. By the end of the season, Chip Kelly was out. His vision never worked, and this trade was the symbol of his failure. This one hurts for Niners fans. In 2021, San Francisco gave up 3 first-rounders and more to move up to draft Trey Lance. He was raw but talented, and the team believed they could develop him into the next franchise quarterback. It never happened. Lance started just 4 games. He battled injuries, lacked consistency, and eventually lost his job to Jimmy Garoppolo and then Brock Purdy. Meanwhile, the Miami Dolphins used those picks to build a star-studded roster: Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, Bradley Chubb. So while San Francisco found success thanks to Mr. Irrelevant, they'll always have to live with the fact that their huge gamble on Lance turned into one of the most lopsided trades of the decade. Khalil Mack was the face of the Raiders' defense, a defensive player of the year, the kind of guy you build around. But in 2018, he held out for a new deal, and John Gruden decided to ship him to Chicago. The Bears gave him a record-breaking contract, and Mack delivered, dominating offensive lines, making all-pro teams, and giving Chicago a defensive identity. The Raiders used the haul of picks on busts who aren't even with the team today. It's the ultimate example of wasting capital and losing a cornerstone at the same time. Carolina's move for Bryce Young might go down as one of the most painful trades of all time. They gave up 2 firsts, 2 seconds, and star wideout DJ Moore to move up to number 1 in 2023. With the pick, they chose Bryce Young. Young struggled right away. Too small, too shaky behind a bad offensive line, and by mid-season, he was already injured. His rookie year looked hopeless. And here's the kicker. The Bears used Carolina's pick in 2024 to draft Caleb Williams, one of the best quarterback prospects in decades. Think about that. Carolina gave away the future and may have gifted Chicago their franchise quarterback for the next 15 years. Bill O'Brien's legacy in Houston will always be tied to this. In 2020, he traded away DeAndre Hopkins, one of the league's top receivers, to Arizona. The return, running back David Johnson and a couple of mid-round picks. Johnson was already past his prime. Hopkins, he immediately put up over 1,400 yards in his first season with the Cardinals. It was such a lopsided deal that analysts and fans still laugh about it to this day. O'Brien was fired shortly after. No surprise. And finally, the crown jewel of bad trades, the Browns' move for Deshaun Watson. Despite Watson facing over 20 allegations and sitting out the 2021 season, Cleveland traded 3 first-round picks, a third and 2 fourths, to Houston. Then they gave him the richest fully guaranteed contract in NFL history, $230 million. Watson has been a disaster, injured, suspended, and a shell of his former self. He tore his Achilles in 2024, leaving the Browns stuck with the worst contract in football. Meanwhile, Houston used those picks to draft C.J. Stroud, Will Anderson, and Tank Dell, instantly rebuilding into a playoff contender. This wasn't just a bad trade, it's the kind of move that cripples a franchise for years, and it might just be the single worst trade in NFL history. Some cost teams Super Bowl windows, some wasted once-in-a-generation talent, and some, like Deshaun Watson, may never be topped in terms of how badly they went. Which trade do you think was the worst? And what's a trade your team made that still keeps you up at night? Drop your thoughts in the comments, hit like if you enjoyed the breakdown, and subscribe for more deep dives into the NFL's biggest stories.